他人のやってる RPG を傍らから眺めるほどつまらないことはない。
Sword Art Online is the worst anime ever created, and this scene only confirms that fact. Kirito actually states that there is nothing more boring than watching others play an RPG from the sidelines. For starters, this entire scene reeks of irony. We are literally watching other people play a role-playing game from the sidelines, which has essentially been the entire focus of this show up until this point. The writer appears to openly acknowledge the tedium, effectively labeling his own series as boring through this very sequence. It is a level of self-defeat so blatant that it borders on comedy. The supposed excitement of the narrative collapses entirely under the weight of its own monotony, leaving the audience trapped in a spectacle that has been stripped of engagement, suspense, or any meaningful stakes. Furthermore, this statement is objectively wrong. There are countless people who genuinely enjoy watching others play role-playing games. A simple look at streaming platforms such as Twitch reveals thousands of viewers actively engaged with live gameplay. And on YouTube, videos of people playing RPGs routinely garner millions of views. Clearly, there exists a vast audience that finds watching others play games entertaining rather than boring. The fact that the author seems completely unaware of this reality is astonishing. It demonstrates not only a complete lack of basic research, but also a fundamental ignorance of how the gaming community operates. Instead of drawing on a rich, existing culture of game streaming and viewer engagement, the show resorts to dismissing it as dull, exposing the creator's disconnect from the very audience he is attempting to represent. One of the main draws of watching others play RPGs is the ability to experience epic adventures without directly participating. For many viewers, RPGs can be time-consuming, complex, or even frustrating to play. Watching allows them to immerse themselves in the story, explore massive open worlds, and witness high-stakes battles without the stress or responsibility that comes with controlling the game. This vicarious experience also allows viewers to enjoy risks and challenges they might avoid if they were actually playing. Essentially, they can live out heroic or fantastical experiences from the comfort of their own space, which is deeply satisfying psychologically. Watching gameplay is a highly educational experience for many. RPGs often involve complex mechanics, decision trees, and hidden secrets. Observing someone else navigate these challenges can teach viewers new strategies, reveal tricks, and show efficient ways to tackle difficult encounters. Beyond just mechanics, viewers also learn about character builds, optimal equipment choices, and ways to solve puzzles or quests more effectively. For competitive or completionist players, this insight is invaluable. Moreover, learning by watching can be more entertaining than trial-and-error gameplay, especially in games with punishing difficulty. The entertainment factor goes far beyond the game itself. Charismatic streamers or content creators turn gameplay into a form of performance art. Their commentary, humor, reactions to surprising events, and creative storytelling can make even routine sections of a game highly engaging. Some streamers develop elaborate personas or narratives, creating a meta layer of entertainment where the personality of the player becomes as compelling as the game. For viewers, this adds unpredictability, emotional investment, and engagement that surpasses what playing the game alone might provide. The social and performative aspects turn a simple RPG into a shared, captivating show. Watching RPGs live on platforms like Twitch or through interactive YouTube streams is often a highly social experience. Chat rooms, forums, and live comment sections allow viewers to engage with others in real time, sharing reactions, debating choices, and forming communities around shared interests. This social interaction creates a sense of belonging. Making the act of watching more than passive entertainment, it becomes a participatory experience. Some viewers tune in specifically to feel part of a larger community, experiencing collective excitement, frustration, or triumph alongside hundreds or thousands of others. RPGs are often celebrated for their rich storytelling, intricate plots, and character development. Many viewers watch gameplay primarily to experience these narratives unfold without the commitment required to play the game themselves. They can witness complex story arcs, plot twists, and character interactions in real time, appreciating the storytelling craft. For story-driven RPGs, the narrative can rival the experience of reading a novel or watching a movie, but with the added thrill of unpredictability. Watching someone else make decisions also adds a layer of suspense. Viewers see how different choices impact the unfolding story, deepening engagement with the narrative. For many, watching gameplay is a form of stress relief. They can enjoy the sights, sounds, and atmosphere of the game world without the cognitive load of playing. The experience becomes a gentle escape from everyday responsibilities, providing relaxation and mental rest. In some cases, simply listening to a streamer's commentary while watching a beautifully rendered world can be soothing. The combination of passive engagement, interesting visuals, and a sense of narrative progression allows viewers to unwind, escape routine, and temporarily immerse themselves in a different reality. In short, watching others play RPGs is not inherently boring. It is a multi-layered form of engagement that combines vicarious adventure, learning, entertainment, social connection, narrative enjoyment, and relaxation. Millions of people find genuine satisfaction and joy in this experience, which makes Sword Art Online's claim that watching others play is boring, both tone-deaf and disconnected from the actual gaming culture. And let me remind you, Kirito realizing that it is boring to watch others play RPGs from the sidelines is supposed to be the very mechanism by which he uncovers Heathcliff's true identity. This entire plot twist is completely nonsensical. The connection between boredom and discovering a villain's identity is absurd and contrived, and it makes no sense within the context of the story. In reality, no one would deduce a character's secret based on the dullness of observing others play a game. It is a lazy narrative shortcut that undermines any sense of logic or credibility, leaving the audience to question why they are expected to accept such a flimsy and illogical turn of events. The author attempting to use this revelation to portray Kirito as some kind of genius is absolutely hilarious, because that is not how anything works in real life. Discovering a major secret based solely on the fact that watching others play a game is boring is not clever. It is absurd. It is a contrived plot device that pretends to showcase intelligence while actually highlighting lazy writing and a complete disregard for logic or plausibility. It is painfully obvious that the author has no real understanding of what he is writing about. Anyone with even a basic familiarity with gaming culture or the way players interact with RPGs should immediately notice the flaws in this writing. The inaccuracies, illogical plot devices, and tone-deaf assumptions leap off the page. It reads as though the author is attempting to depict a gaming world he has never experienced, relying on cliches and surface-level impressions rather than genuine insight. This lack of authenticity not only undermines the story but also alienates viewers who are familiar with real gaming communities, leaving the narrative feeling both shallow and amateurish. And as I mentioned earlier, if watching other people play an RPG is truly as boring as the author claims, then why would he construct an entire series around that exact premise? The cognitive dissonance here is staggering. The show forces viewers to sit through endless sequences of characters playing the fictional virtual reality MMORPGs, while simultaneously insisting that this is tedious and uninteresting. It is a level of self-contradiction that is almost comical, revealing either a complete lack of self-awareness or an astonishingly lazy approach to storytelling. The very foundation of the series undermines its own narrative, leaving the audience to wonder whether the author understands the basic mechanics of engagement or is simply mocking the viewers. It is comparable to someone claiming that watching other people play basketball is boring, and then immediately turning around and writing an entire series centered on basketball players. The contradiction is glaring and absurd. If observing gameplay, or in this analogy, the sport itself, is supposedly dull, constructing a whole narrative around it only highlights the author's lack of self-awareness. It defies logic and demonstrates a fundamental disconnect between the story the author is attempting to tell and the audience's capacity for engagement. This kind of narrative inconsistency makes the premise feel shallow, forced, and utterly unconvincing. Is Sword Art Online meant to be a joke, or is the author simply trolling the audience? It feels as if the creator is deliberately testing how much illogical, contradictory, and lazy writing viewers will tolerate. Scenes contradict each other, plot twists make no sense, and the supposed logic of the world collapses under the weight of its own inconsistencies. It gives the impression that the series is less about telling a coherent story, and more about seeing how far the audience's suspension of disbelief can be stretched. This sense of intentional, or at least careless trolling only amplifies the frustration of watching a show that constantly undermines itself. What is even more absurd is that in later arcs, several characters sit around and watch others play the RPG, completely ignoring the supposed boredom that was emphasized earlier. For example, in the Phantom Bullet arc, numerous characters simply observe while Kirito participates in the Bullet of Bullets tournament, as if this repetitive watching somehow constitutes meaningful storytelling. The show cannot even maintain its own already flawed logic. It declares that observing gameplay is tedious and uninteresting, yet repeatedly structures scenes around exactly that premise, exposing a glaring inconsistency in both narrative and world-building. This lack of coherence makes the series feel careless and unpolished, further highlighting the author's disconnect from genuine gaming culture and storytelling principles. In an interview, the author openly admitted that he does not plan anything out before writing, and it shows. The plot is messy, disjointed, and often feels like a string of random events rather than a coherent narrative. Scenes contradict each other, pacing jumps wildly, and story arcs collapse under the weight of their own inconsistencies. The lack of preparation is evident in every episode, from illogical character decisions to convoluted plot twists that make little sense even within the show's own rules. This improvisational approach to storytelling leaves the audience frustrated and disengaged, highlighting not just poor writing, but a fundamental misunderstanding of how to construct a compelling narrative. The only way anyone could genuinely enjoy this dumpster fire of a show is if they were born yesterday. Anyone with even a passing familiarity with good storytelling should immediately recognize that Sword Art Online is garbage. The plot is incoherent, the characters are poorly developed, and the writing consistently ignores logic and common sense. It is a series that mistakes flashy premises for substance, and it completely fails to deliver meaningful narrative, emotional depth, or engaging world building. For anyone who has experienced well-crafted stories, this show stands out only as a frustrating, hollow, and poorly executed mess.